Asian Pacific Americans in higher education. Well, one of the things that very few people know is that when we first got together, Frank Chong, Dale Shimazaki, Audrey Yamanaka Noji, when we got together, Frank said we should call ourselves Asian Pacific Americans in California higher education. And Audrey said, oh, that's good, Frank, but I think the term Apache has already been taken. So we dropped the C and became APAHE, and that's how we became a national organization overnight. We thought we would be a state organization because our main focus at the beginning was to challenge what we saw as anti-Asian admissions policies, first at UC Berkeley, but then around the state. So we were conceived of as a activist civil rights organization, and that political activism, I think, is part of our DNA.
As you know, I was one of the founding members. I was just a middle 30-year-old working in Willie Brown's office when we convened in Japantown in San Francisco with people, legends, I call them, like Henry Durr and Ling Shi Wang and Yuri Wada, and, to talk about Dale Shimasaki, who worked with me at Willie Brown's office, to talk about what we could do about the UC admissions issue. And we met with Willie Brown, and we have to organize. These blacks organize, Latinos are organizing. He goes, the Asians aren't organized. And he said, if you organize, you'll have some political teeth that goes beyond the individual. So of course, like most smart people like us, we listen to him.
It means a community. It means a place to go where you're understood, a place to go where you can balance between finding comfort and be involved in advocacy and change work, where you learn things in kind of a safe, constructive manner, but you make personal and professional connections that help you to grow and learn and develop.
When we started way back when in 1987, these principles were ever so clear. And over time, we've paid emphasis on one of these three words, all of these three words in varying degrees. But education, advocacy, and advancement are three key things that come to mind when we talk about APAHE. APAHE means a place where we all can call home for professionals, faculty, staff who are Asian Pacifics that, kind of strive for wanting to be or belong to an organization of Asian Pacifics.
Community and care. And it's basically a place where you could feel at home, connected with people that are like you, and also that really genuinely care about you and making you the best leader you can be for your community.
I want to start by telling you how I got involved with APAHE. This occurred 25 years ago. When I look back, I attended the LDPHE program that's sponsored by LEAP, which is the Leadership Development for Professionals in Higher Ed. And it was at this symposium that I was able to meet other Asian American professionals in higher ed. And I had never been to a program like this. It gave me really good feedback as an Asian American professional in the field and what the potential was in leadership positions that I could undertake. So it was from this initial programming that I got involved with APAHE, because a few years after my involvement in LDPHE, which is now called Leap Advance, I was asked to be on the board of APAHE.
Think about APAHE, I just like to think of words that mean something to me, and then APAHE stands for, and I think it stands for connections. From 1989 till now, it's connections of people that you see once in a while, once a year maybe, at the conference only, but it's connections. I think it's learning. I learned so much from just listening to Chang Lin Tian and so many others throughout the years as they talk to us. I think it's a chance for you to grow. I believe when I go to APAHE, I grow, not always just professionally, but also personally, from sharing time with people and telling story. Absolutely talk about colleagues. You can't go to APAHE and run into colleagues. I think this is invaluable for mentoring and being a mentor. I think that's so crucial for our profession. Obviously, personal renewal. Sometimes you go to conferences just for professional basis. I go to APAHE for professional, but more importantly for personal renewal. And last, but definitely not least, the friendships that last basically a lifetime. So that's what APAHE means to me.
For me, the first thing that comes to mind is familia. So APAHE is a family. It's a community of like-minded AAPI and allies who are committed to supporting our students and helping our students achieve their academic goals, and then also lift up their communities.
For me, APAHE is really, I think, the reason that I am sitting where I am right now professionally. It's the reason I am Senate president. It was the moment I realized that my voice mattered. So Leap and APAHE are the reason that I'm where I am now. So thank you.
It has meant to strengthen my connections within my own network and to grow it. Like what I mean is, I went through conference just on a whim, a comment that a friend of mine had made. He was like, "Oh, you should go to this thing in Oakland." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Oh, it's down the street from my alma mater. Why not go?" And so I get to my first conference and I'm seeing all these different Asians in higher education who are like making connections together. And I run into a familiar face and I'm like, "Hey, I know you from so and so," and things like that. So I was like, "Oh, wow." And having been new to higher education, it just like kind of opened my eyes to a lot of avenues and a lot of connections I could develop. And when I came back, I shared it with one of my classmates who has now turned into a really good friend of mine, Suman. And Suman and I have just developed a depth of relationship that I think goes beyond being classmates, being colleagues, and really being a support system for each other. And APAHE has really introduced me on how to expand my community and how to deepen the relationships that I have with those within my community already. So that's what APAHE has meant to me. And call Henry G, Wyman Fong mentors and things like that. And these guys are like, they're pretty hot, they're the shit, in higher education and things like that. He has given to me more than I really could put into words about its impacts.